physically, but how did that change his life and his faith?
Yeah, I didn't meet Charlie until 2019. I do recall him speaking about his trip to Israel. I know that while he was here, Erica was here, and that was something that they shared, and as they talked about it, Charlie would reflect on that. He loved coming through Israel. Many parts of it touched him deeply. He was committed in the times that I was with him. He would speak very clearly of the sovereign nation of Israel. We often would talk about Ezekiel 37, that Israel will be a political nation first, spiritual nation second. He believed in the ancestral right to the land, and that Jews were God's chosen people. We would have those conversations. But in the same respect, I saw the tension, because Charlie would understand a political nation. He questioned America just like he would question Israel politically. And he would question parties. He would question Democrats and Republicans. And he'd question the Likud party. He would go, and these were things he did because he was dealing with a non-traditional group of voters, 18 to 30-year-olds, who have no understanding of Israel, and they get most of their information from TikTok. Now, the older folks like us, we've been raised with biblical understanding. We've been educated in that capacity, but younger folks didn't. And this coalition, this MAGA movement, consisted of these 18 to 30-year-olds. It was the largest move of young people, first-time voters, conservative, in the history of the United States. And they won key battleground states. And so he was trying to get them to come into a realm of dialogue. Turning Point was always about educating and allowing dialogue to occur, and competing thoughts. And so folks would be so upset about that. And we dealt with the cancel culture on the left and the cancel culture on the right, and everyone would threaten everybody. And this is interesting about the church in America. It's a very terrible voting bloc. Christians constitute, 60 to 80 million evangelicals, of which only, I think, half of them are registered to vote. And of the half that are registered to vote, only half of those vote in a presidential election, and less than that in a non-presidential election. And so just a very terrible turnout rate. And then in addition, Christians always demand the perfect, so they miss the good. And that everyone wants perfection in their political leaders. Well, politics doesn't work that way. It's incrementalism. And Charlie understood that as he would build this coalition of young people and educate them through this, to the point where he'd even be contending and people would come to understand this. He was brilliant and so far advanced beyond his years that I learned a lot from him in relation to that. But he wanted to come back to Israel to visit, and what Amikai said, I was with him in Korea when I gave him that option. I said, is this something you'd be interested in? He goes, yeah, I think so. Which was shocking, because when I invited him to go to Korea, the only time that I'd ever known him to travel outside the country was when he went to England for the Cambridge-Oxford debates. And I was telling Mina Kim, who headed up what's called Build Up Korea, it's a conservative movement in Korea for young people. I said, Charlie's probably not going to come to Korea. She said, I'll pray, will you ask? And she's a little prayer warrior. I said, all right, Mina, I'll ask him. I was shocked when he said yes. And I was just as shocked when I said, we've been invited to come out. Do you want to do this? He goes, yeah, I think I do. And that's when I sent him, I said, it looks real good. Because that's the exact same response he gave with Mina. And then, of course, as we know, shortly after that, a bullet